I repeat, and this is something that you're going to have to learn in the US. I'm not the original girl. The only thing in common I have is the eyebrows. You are terrorists, because if somebody says to you July 20th of the 21st century, it's old news on the news, you smashed the girl's head in on the coastlines, it's not any more intel of any breaks. And forget-me-not child comes. Forget about the social security number of Holland or Delft, high school and stuff like that. Forget it. Forget about the familiar face. If I go to 80 countries and 25 states, the masses recognize my face. Many of them know about La Sapienza, about Woolwich, about everything. If Benjamin Ofori is in Rome at the age of 5, and he's the director of Scotland, in Scotland of cancer, and in Canada of cancer, and he's married to a Chinese girl. And he says, this is a cheap shit, darling. You used to be grey, black and white, now you're multicolour. After they smashed your head in on the coastlines and you are a replacement child. That's the mask, mine. And you're a sweet pea for the barons, hopefully. Obviously, that's not possible, but okay. Do what they told you to do as a trained poodle in the house. Let's say, now, there's a context here that you didn't understand what the intel did. They're saying there's a Scotland film. In a Scotland film, a girl gets kidnapped, the diplomat parents stay in Rome for retirements, and everybody's happy. That's what they want. Anything to stay out of the US. Minus Ame and minus Rika. Okay? So, the corporations are in Rome. They're in Woolwich. Martha Snowden with eyebrows. So a girl comes back in history, July 20, 21st century. She breaks that shit. She has her head smashed in on a coastline. I don't have pretenses. It's my birthday. I'm not that girl. A girl already had her head smashed in. I have no pretenses. The buildings at La Sapienza and special mathematics, advanced math are empty. Knowledge. And that's all news on the news. Tiziano Vian, or Dude via N, says those are the poppy fields. Says the poppy fields on coastlines. That girl's dead. Meaning the intel she had in her head, meaning herself, her persona, had her head smashed in America on the coastlines. And you could see it coming from China. Why? Because the girls was flying, the girls was runnings, and the girls then was crawlies and the crawlies. Me. That's what you're famous for. So sending me psychos and haters shows what the US is. It's just, we have the Hague of Dirk Jan van Dam Bureau, the Veritas, for girls, for children, the Dutch built the Netherlands, God created that's of the lowlands of the Netherlands. He said, I never met a girl like you. I never did. I never thought I could even meet a girl like you. And then he says, but you're dead. You're just the replicant of that girl. You're the stand-in. Yeah, just the eyebrows is the original self. You have something in common with the original, but you're not the original. I'm looking at him, it's like, what? So this is a psychological problem that you have in the US. You're not being patriots. Even if I said to you it's an internal thing, that you are not perfect, and that till today the CIA has eyebrows that are platinum. All fell with her. Abroad and here. She was famous. So all that intel that girl was carrying, all those buildings that were her buildings, new mathematics, are empty in the US. Worse than a bomb. In other words, if you had dropped a bomb in the US, it would have been less harmful than avoiding the beautiful shit. This is the problem you had. You called me terrorist. You called me Bin Laden. But Bin Laden is better than the Mossad. Mossad is denying shit. Well, I'm not denying anything. I'm not denying anything. It's famous and then known through me. So this was why. It's not a question of how much evil you have. And then you wonder, I kill you, bitch. US, you're a pointless country. You're seriously a comedy to the intel communities. A shit show of retards. Because if they bring back a dead baby that was massacred, which they call the poppy fields on the coastlines, to show to you that you lost that intel and that amount that is not in a microchip, is not in your PhDs, but was new math. Literally, July 20th of the 21st century, my dad's birthday. So when they say wormhole to worm in the UN project in Rome or in Western Europe, you see, why would the intelligence bring back or see from this who said Graph City, New Hampshire, where I was naturalized? Why would they bring back that girl? That filthy Russian airspace, a filthy Saudi air, a filthy Western European airspace, a filthy Italian, a filthy UN, a filthy Martin Snowden Woolwich's in a circle, a school somewhere, all of the above. If that's already famous there, smash it on the coastlines here, you get known for that, not me, you. Don't reflect it on me. So you start, attacking me on personal level and everything, religious, whatever, political, everything personal. So you have the Hague, you have the Bureau Veritas of Dirkembandam, you have all of that. Then you add a new piece of paper, which is the Roman Tribunal. The Roman Tribunal is 250 pages against the psych ward in Fresno, the crazies, the stalkers here in San Francisco, who are from Fresno. You allowed them to Fresno, from Fresno to Frisco, and they were in prison in LA, the federal prison, because there's no federal prison in Fresno, in other words, and so forth. In other words, you are terrorists to me. But this was it. The reason they brought back the child was to show that the losses were real and that history had been made and it had been killed and the void had already happened. So when they were saying that precious intel that society needed or others needed had been smashed on the coastlines, which is worse than a bomb, because bombs are easy and the new shit is difficult, a beautiful shit is difficult. You came to me and got jealous, insane, insanity, 10,000 love letters that were basically obituaries to me. Intel agencies from different countries who Platinum has, scientists who were either crying their eyes out when I was 5 or 10 or 15 or 25 or onwards, so that seeing me in this state, in this format, after smashing my head in on the coastlines, you don't understand this. You don't understand if they genetically enhanced that girl after you smashed her head on the coastlines, that maybe she was too famous for shit and they made negatives. You want to have a highly intelligent killers? Maybe they did that. But let's not speak about it. Because you smashed the Jamila's head, the original girl, on the coastlines. So the Opus Dei moved in and the Catholics moved in and Woolwich's and Western Europe called it every fucking blessing on the planet, and you are Satan on the coastlines. So instead of maturely seeing that there are losses and this is not normal, you started, I'm about sending me your cycles while the frat boys and the others are watching. And the girls, you will not get that back. It's staying void. You're sick. This was what became famous about the number 221 of Holland. The wormhole to the worm in the UN. This is what made German aerospace, the Baslers, name their nieces Jamila. This is what made Martin Snowden and Woolwich's and the Italians at La Sapienza and in the UN fall with that girl. And how Platinum has. Or why is the Globals. This is what moved the intel agencies on the flyers and the runners on the coast lines and other parts of the world where the work was. So, Fresno is where the parents are retired. Now, I keep repeating that the parents is something else. I am I, and the parents are the parents. The parents are born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities, i.e. Pishits, Russian, Norilsk, Turk, and the Arctic. Okay, pioneers at the age of 5. Turks, you know what I'm saying, Russia, beyond the capital cities. So the pioneer camps at 5, they become directorates in DC. They are hired in Washington, DC, as D2s, D1s, jobs for Osro, and later on became TCUR and USAID. an equivalent of about 160, 180 countries for him and 140 for her. And helicopters dropping humanitarian aid. Austria was mostly natural disasters, although there are some other. US aid in a mix. And the problem that you're not a country worth coming to. There's a Scott Glenn film. You've already proven more than enough how much you hate. Even towards me. I can't even breathe a breath. But it's prophecy. It's not prophecy. Prophecy is this. You lost buildings of intelligence of July 20th, 2021 on your coastlines, and you don't even know what they are. The pink of Jamila was cancer, and that's also empty in New York and in Poland, Tunisia, and Algeria. The ones that are actually empty are in Massachusetts and in DC, in NASA and in ESA, and they are buildings of mathematics and tech, okay, and in California. Now, that is empty, even a La Sabienza, it doesn't matter. It's empty. It's already famous and known that you smashed that girl's head in on the coastlines. The Americans tried to erase Delph, that girl. They tried to erase me. Well, because they smashed my head in on the coastlines and they had to pay. But they couldn't. Because they knew from Hooker said Graft City, graft, skin graft or whatever, genetic graft, eventually this is going to happen. Everyone could see it coming from China. Very strange indeed. To have that girl even know on her flying and runnings that eventually she's going to be killed. Now, when she was flying, beyonds, you see, it's called hydrogeographic surveying. You have mountains that are beyond the library. They're mountains. Then you have hills, which are above the library, behind, and a little beyond. Okay, so for the mother and the father, it's beyond 92 and above. Other buildings in DC, literally beyond, way past, touching other locations in DC, other buildings out there. Then there is the call them runnings, which are the hills. And the hills are for the father, behinds, aboves, and still beyond. Again, for the mom, you can already see the feet going towards the head of the library and hitting the roof of the library here on the side. Then you have the feet of the father on the ground behind the library. In fact, they're on at the top of a staircase. Okay, it's at the top of a staircase, above the library, and then shut the fuck up. You want to say something? Get on fucking Facebook. Above the library, behind the library. It's basically on a staircase. It's the roof of the library still, yes. But it starts going down some staircases and then it gets to the ground behind the library and it gets on the ground. Those are the third pairs for the dad, my Crawleys. For the mother, it's on the grounds, but it's not behind the library. Why? Because they get her to Poland to Russia, with the rule of law of Natalie Direct. So it's a little alley, tiny little alley, where the feet are on this side and a little forward, because she moves to Russia. And then you have more mountains. Now the mountains after that, on the ground basically of the library, the mountains after all that is, those mountains are steep, but they are small, meaning they're very steep, but like that, that's it. And then you have Capitol Hill at the bottom. There were revolutions over this. There were cement trucks, this for 3-4 months in DC. the cement trucks. The same abroad, in Moscow 5 times, and Woolwich in London, on her crawlies and little crawlies to the universities with Martin Snowden. And the East Coast, and New York, and Rome, and Warsaw Internationals. You are animals. You're animals. That you're using people who are on drugs as scapegoats and lumping me with them and hoping that you can pay some psychos from Fresno to follow me is going to cost you your government. It's not going to change the void on the coastlines of the poppy fields because you can't do it yourself, you cheapos. It's not going to void anything your ass, except your ass. So when they bring back a dead baby, literally, as a historic piece of paper, 221, to show to you, I'd rather have the blessings of the Opus Dei in the Vatican, historically speaking, after that girl got killed. I'd rather have Martin Snowden and German airspace calling you Amerikanische Huren. I'd rather have Thierhaufen calling you Nazi skins in Germany, Amerikanische Huren. I'd rather have the Russians and the Arabs and the UN calling you Americans, rather than you going to me and, I son of fucking bitches! Psycho after bitches! This is who you are. This is the, now you can start knocking. Why am I back? To let you know. To let you know what? That you're hating animals. That you don't have 2 brain cells to rub together. That you're jealous of a dead baby that was brought back for a blimp in time genetically as a stand-in in the house. And you say, oh, really? And what about the blues? Why the blues? Blues ain't gonna go near your cheap ass. Look how you treated me. You think that blues are gonna go show up to your cheap ass after that smashed in head on the coastlines? That's a miracle in itself. 221 Delph. Blessings and all. Shithead. Everything's easy for you. Everything. Everything's easy for you. Because you never lifted one fucking ass of your assholes here. Not the Knox, not the Schultzes, not Dolores, not Vaya con Dios, HUDs, and your tits and ass and your PhDs and your 10 million boyfriends and your 10 million girlfriends. And you'd get this degenerate to tell you this shit to your face. Fuck you. I'm honest with myself. I'm my worst enemy. Why don't you make yourself your own worst enemy? Considering you're fucking worth that. You're worth that. Being your worst enemy. But you don't even have an iota of common sense to look at yourselves for a split second and say, well, we got a problem. You're not a patriot. You're shit. You don't have 2 brain cells to rub together for the poppy seeds on the coastlines. You get offended if they bring back to tell you that. You're offended if I say to you, there's a Scotland film and keep my kind out. If it was even a kind that became a type. And keep your bitches. You get offended if I tell you that Laura Quintus and Ali Direct have hanging benches defending parrots on retirements in Fresno. Get offended. Go to school. Go to kindergarten at the age of 5 with Laura Quintus and Ali Direct. Go to at the age of 5 to school, like I did. Go to school and see La Sapienza empty with buildings on the 1st, 2nd, and 5th floor with fucking space sciences empty so you can feel good about your tits and ass. And why don't you pick on the dead baby? Frou-frouing throughout the world in 80 countries and 25 states connected thus worldwide to globals with an asswipe number 12 of 221 Holland. So you can feel good about yourselves. And your achievements. While you send psychos to me. And hope that I die here. Because what? We already have the Hague, the Bureau de Veritas, and the Roman Tribunal. I've never seen a child with that much paperwork just for her own ass. Existence or non-existence. In a blimp in time. So, the reason those men were crying when I was a child, those girls were crying. Some were genuinely jealous, and some couldn't control their feelings of pain from the memories that they felt from the knowledge of the losses of intel on the coastlines. That's the Scotland film. Stay out. So this breath of fresh air that you call that I have, thank you for your psychos. Für nicht, US. Für nicht. And this is coming out of baby. Now CIA, you got fucking problems. You got problems in the US on your coastlines. And you know that. And I wasn't the problem, and I'm not the problem. These are your losses, and you have to keep them. And stop denying it with your cheap shit. The other intel will not reopen that stuff. You have managed single-handedly to spit at La Sapienza University, knowledge, spit in the face of Martin Snowden and the Woolwichers and the scientists, academicians, spit. Even German Aerospace was saying this, Basler, at them. Spit at Warsaw University, the brother of the mother who is 96 years old, who was the head of sciences, agriculture, was go to Moscow, that's your mayor, this shit. Kangoo here is cheap shit with Ulietanoa Mass Media, Belgium. The Colombian friend of yours since childhood, who was director of mass media in Belgium. Kangoo is cheap shit. Biomed is cheap. Poland doesn't have that shit. You have to go to Moscow. You used to do the new shit. You're phenomena. That shit's empty. Same with the cousin of the father. Head of Sciences and Ag Tech, Cairo University Ministry. Now that stuff there's empty. You have to go to Saudi Arabian Mir. Mir, space, the dark shit. Okay. So that's the fairy tale of the baby. You are afraid to look yourselves in the mirror. You are afraid to see your own reflection, US. You are afraid of something that you never did and you never had. And you killed it on the coastlines or the poppy fields, according to Tatiana Vian, and the whole shit. And you can't look at me as a forget-me-not child. Now, if they did make these negatives, which everybody claims is whatever, blues, that'd be elsewhere. Some other corporations, maybe, the white hair somewhere. That's it. They don't belong to me. They're not the original girl. They're nowhere near the family or me. The parents know them. I know them. If they did come to Fresno, maybe they try to help the family. I think that they're in particular spots around the world, unbeknownst to me. If they came to Fresno because the parents are there and I'm there, the original girl is lying on the coastlines, there's something else. That's none of your business. I wouldn't even tell you. If I saw them on the East Coast or London or Rome, Saudi Arabia, Warsaw, Russia, other countries, sure. California, coastlines, yes, I did from a distance. In Fresno, I didn't see shit. In Fresno, I just saw smelly assholes, low-scum criminals, cheap-ass fuckers, haters, animals, and as Lara Quintus would say, the lowest scum, stupid-ass, fucked-up criminals I've ever seen in history of humanity. Or the way she said it, Fresno lone scrum criminals. At the age of 5. So I'm looking at it, what the fuck? There's no Scotland film. I was in that film. Why don't we stay in Rome for retirement? What happened? Some big deal? Is a sacrifice to stay in Rome? They get me. Maybe there's a couple of blues out there. Take a samplage of these bacteria. You go, bacteria. And the parents stay in Rome for retirement. It's making the world nuts. The intelligence of Fresno. Because that's what they are, the intelligence of Fresno. You're not the intelligence of Fresno. You are what you are. Hating scumbags. Full fucking stop. Your bitch girlfriends in the nursing homes. Your bitch girlfriends at the hospital. It takes nothing to break down this one. The baby. That's why they're suing your ass. Western Europe has 250 pages for your extra. Your tits and ass in Fresno, doesn't it? Ain't gonna reopen no shit on the coastlines of mine. Forget me not. In fact, that shit, you know what they called it? You know why they called it the ship to the yacht? Because there was a ship with that girl. Literally. That girl wasn't alone. Jamila was not alone. She had many people with her. Many scientists. They're gone. They had planned has with her and they left. And now you have a Bobby yacht on the coastlines. I couldn't get away with smashing the leader's head on the coastlines. You couldn't. July 2021 is my buildings, and therefore they're empty in your country and the US. No banks. Call me Bin Laden again, I don't mind. It's better than the Mossad. So when I say to you that you are ugly inside, I'm not fucking kidding. When they said this cause célèbre, the Vatican is sitting there saying, you know, Jamila, you did something historical in space tech, July 2021. Your mathematics was something else. You're dead. You grew up with the Elon Musk kids in Rome. Shinoa Putta, for instance, from South Africa, was in Rome. Stars look very different today. Thanks. At the age of 5, a friend of Lara Quintas, of Natalie Direct, Julieta Novoa. Okay, all those kids. Your education was free. High school was free. At 15, you were in London at university for free with those guys. You connected the dots worldwide to globals in those countries. You were traveling on econo mode. You weren't flying and running. You were just... That's it. This is who you are, US. Now tell me, the verbal vitriol that I heard from your psychos, nurses included in Fresno, towards me, that I kept my mouth shut about. I already had my head smashed in on the ghost lines. I'm nobody. I'm going to crawl out like this ghosted child, this baby ballerina. After my head was smashed in on the ghost lines, this phoenix, this innocent one. Connect the dots worldwide to globals with those guys with the platinum hairs for my own shit on the ghost lines. And that's what I did. The parents are on retirements in Fresno. As I said, born in the pioneer camps beyond the capital cities, something like Norris and Pischitz. Directorates, humanitarian relief services, also GCYUs. You ask why there's war. You ask why there's war and peace. You were babyface. You ask this for the baby, this and this and this. You can't even get the basics of a 5-year-old. You can't even get the basics around the world of how they see this in those capital cities. Because it offends you. Because you can't think. You refuse to think, and you refuse to do it yourselves. So you blame me for everything to the intel communities that already lost. On purpose in your country. Not caring. You paid a psycho abroad, this Ukrainian, not even Polish. And they tied him to the homeless centers here at Dolores via Condillo's neighborhood from Fresno. Psychos from LA, federal prison, born in Fresno. In Frisco. So the nurses at UCLA, at New York, in Italy, in all the hospitals in Italy, in the Vatican and St. Peter's and in London, Ukrainian whores! Ukrainian whores! I speak about the nurses, not the priests. Ukrainian whores! Why? The Londoners, the holes in the walls, so that I can crawl out, barely breathing, out of Fresno. Oh my God, it'll go make you feel like woman, like man. You're not woman and man. You're hating shits. Hating, insane jealousy, insane death on the ghost lines. Humongous waste of intelligence on the ghost lines with the poppy fields. A shame that you tried to cover up the Manhattan Project of the 21st century, that you failed to cover up because this shit came back. Denying it. And it's not called the Manhattan Project of the 21st century. It's not. It's simply a dead girl that they made Ubermensch of in another fucking country or continent because she was phenomenal, even if you smashed her head in on the coastlines, because they're empty buildings of Jamila around the world. That's what it is. You call it the Manhattan Project of the 21st century because you can't even find another fucking word for it. Because you're retards. Just as I thought. Therefore, I'm going to say it to you like that. My mother and my father kept telling me, be nice to the American girls. They want you to be jealous of you, you jealous of them? Do it. Kiss her. Be nice. You have so little life left. Don't piss them off. They're whores. They're bitches. They're haters. Why instigate them? And I looked at my parents and said, you think I'm Mother Teresa of Calcutta? You kidding me? I ain't Mother Teresa of Calcutta when those flames are running. This thing here, this little terror, it's an Indian bed. minion devil ain't gonna be sitting there and kiss your ass for this shit. You tried to make a prostitute out of me. They turn around, put a gun in your head and fucking shoot your ass. You tried to kill me. They did the same. They sued you. It's pointless. It's almost like saying, stay in Rome for retirement. You have two blimps of time. I literally have 1 slot, 2 slots of life left. And I'm just a stand-in. You're not going to scam me. Hague, Bureau de Veritas and Roman Tribunal. You want a second Hague for your fun? You're welcome. Tanto, your government will be paying trillions and billions for your fun. And they will. Because that history that happened on the coastlines is staying permanently from ship to yacht. And all those guys with the platinum hairs in the basements and metros around the world with me, connected those who are whites to globals, will say, why is she the only girl with us and professors? Why does she have such a limited capacity? What's she trying to show to you that you're trying to kill even in the forget-me-not child? They can sue your ass. They can sue your ass. They can do more than sue your ass for the baby, even for the baby. Especially if you know what that girl was famous for. You're retarded. You're retarded. Now I know that you're retarded. You're not stupid times. You're retarded times. And I was trying to stick to mean time. You think that I'm going to be afraid of a bunch of frat boys, drug addicts, and psychos? Yes. Having said that, they have others going on. The thing that I never understood is, why don't you be famous for your own assholes? Whether you're alive or whether you're dead, literally. Why don't you become famous for something other than your assholes? Why don't you become famous for breaking space July 2221? Why don't you become famous or known for having your head smashed in on the ghost lines and coming back like me? Like a tripod replacement. Peapod. Why don't you do that? And shut your face if you can't look at mine. So I'm not even her. The only thing I have in common with the original girl is my eyebrows. And those eyebrows and all those guys are platinum. That's all news on the news connected dots for whites to globals. You killed the leader on the coastlines. And tech. Even Elon Musk moved to fucking Texas. Take the hint, bitches. If you can call them bitches. And stop calling me a whore. Because believe me, you have no idea what the intel communities think of the US right now, just for the baby. That's why they brought the baby back, to show who you are. My parents will say, be nice to them. I'm not going to be nice to you. I'm telling you who the fuck you are. To your face. You know why? Because you're not retarded 5-year-olds. You want to get offended, you go the fuck right up. You can reopen my shit. It's empty. As Dirkian Van Dam said, Jamila, your middle name is Void Maria. I said, why? Because you're not you. After they smashed your head in on the coastlines. And that's why they call you cowards. They don't call me a coward. They call you a coward. The only difference is, could you please say it? I did. You want me to go on Facebook and say it? I'll say it. Like we need that. Again, I repeat, and it's not me repeating only, everybody else, in Kagolanian and more modern revolutions, that is not the parents in Fresno on retirement life. In the middle of the desert of California. So when they say bomb Fresno, and nobody would have blinked in those capital cities with the t-shirts, they're not kidding. If they're saying that in Intel, I say, keep it in Intel. Keep it in Intel. Look at the whole shit. Intel, the Intel's out on the fucking streets. You got the people out there. You got the cats, the dogs, the birds. It's a zoo for me with cool on their body like this. 2, 2, 1. Yes. This is why you don't like me. It's not a question that you have to like me. I'm not a likable person. I'm not trying to be liked. I'm not here groveling for you to like me. I'm doing the opposite on purpose. I'm saying to you, can we please stay out of here and do the Scotland film? Anything. Oh, shit. And that's how the US lost intel. The US lost intel on hate, stupidity, and literally, I'm going to have to say it. So when they say better to lose with the most intelligent forever than ever, then win with the stupids. The Barilla ex-mayor of Rome was 98 years old saying to me that when I was a caregiver to them for 2 months in Rome. He wasn't kidding. So, now that you are your sanctity, you're happy. You see, this is another thing. I never believed in religions, and I don't. I don't look at it that way. I was in too much pain. I was in too much pain in the knowledge of what had happened to the original Intel, what I was replacing, which is difficult enough, connected us worldwide to globals. And I was in pain for the parents, completely. The pain was atrocious as a child, growing up. It's like, you know, when you have ember on your skin? That was me at the age of 5. Later on the crawlies and little guys, make a head in this out of her. I can't look anymore. She's almost over. She's only a blimp in and blimp out. Take her out with her. Make her head in this. A little puppy. I can't look at that pain anymore. And you're sitting there saying to me, look at my teeth, look at my ass, I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a woman. You're not a woman. Shit, if they clone that girl, she'd be more a woman than you. Don't speak about the parents because qua proprio. Landing, I don't know what. Well, on the ghost life, forget. Sembra di guardare bomba, sì. This is what you have never understood about those communities. They never bring back that baby. And that's it. They brought back something like that. It means something happened. Still there, denying it. It's not possible. That's not possible. Nothing's impossible for you. You see, this is how intelligence showed it. So when they started making that available and showing it, they were saying everyone, each to each his own, motherfuckers to each his own. And they said, please, there it is. Please, just stay in Rome for a time. Please. You know, and quit, because this is stupid. You know, it's just stupid. Go where you have to go, to the middle of the desert, do the space bomb, not the bomb, and shut the fuck up, because I can't look at this shit anymore. And it wasn't one country, one city, one capital city, and I'm going to have to say one state. The problem is, California, is that between these East Coast and West Coast, they don't like the scrambled egg. And therefore they're saying to you, you're sick. That's it. And I'm not the one saying, don't stop, because I'm not the one saying it. And don't try to abuse or rape the girls. Here we go. Guns. Why don't we just say a rope for a dance? Yeah, grazie, arrivederci, just say that. Porca. That's it. And that you made this shit look rosy through me, the poppy fields on the coastline, let alone for the Barretts. You know, for tragedy comedy with this ass wife, alright. And you're still gonna be sitting there with your pretenses about being better. It doesn't miss me. That's it. And don't start with Jewish, not Jewish, Catholic, not Catholic, Russian, not Russian, Muslim, not Muslim, Buddhist. Mamma mia. To me, what you and how you behaved, how you behaved, how you showed your disgust. The sciences in Italy, with the pink of Benjamin Ofori, the cancer, the greys, the blacks, and the whites, and saying, darling, you're not that anymore. You're multicolor after what happened on August. Make it look sweet for the children. Presentable. You had your head smashed in the coastlines. It was famous. I go to the Dar es Salaam neighborhoods in the world. Listen. I thought she was dead. Said that. Touched her nail. And in masses. It's not one or two. I was saying, let's stick to Intel. Stick to the highest forms of Intel. Stick to the fight of beauty for the uncomfortable truth. Shit on those things. In the eye of the beetle. An intelligent killer. After that, maybe I shouldn't tell you. Wait. And you're still in denial of that girl, and you're still attacking the replacement child. They're retarded, aren't they? They just hate. Oh, just for the fun of it. So what was the girl good at? And who are the parents? US. Now, when you look at why it's a ship to a yacht, now you know why. Sorry. You see, when they said to each his own, they weren't kidding. So now they're rubbing it in through me. So look what happened. Look at that. And they say, that's our shit. That's our shit. I have penny money. That's actually. And as I continue, I don't sound like a fatwa here, but it looks like when you lost the intel, literally lost the intel, there's others. You can even have enemies, like North Koreans, literally. Like your enemies. Sorry. You can have your enemies. Look at it and say, why would they have killed a leader like that for nothing? And you already see a ship. And you can see it from China coming. Why would you have that much intel lost and beautiful buildings empty? You see, that's when you understand why I'm back. That's me. That's not even mentioning the parents of Fresno all the time. It's their jobs, where they're from, who's defending them, and why. They're not going to tell you. The jobs. We're hired in DC. So if you want to play your power games, which is what the Harry Potter gossip is about, you go ahead. But I'm not going to be the stand-in and put up with your fucking, excuse me. I'm okay with that. I had an easy life. But if you're going to be sending me psychos to me, for what? To show to you. I see. You're perfect in the US. Okay. Perfect as in Massachusetts, New York, DC, and California, empty buildings. Because in New York, it was only cancer like Poland, Algeria, and Tunisia. You know, what was I think about? Connected, that's what I think about for me alone. But I wasn't pink, was I? I was grey, black, and white. Multicolored, baby. After you smashed my head in on the ghost nights, genetic graft. That's a shit to yard. So when you sit for a split second and realize why you're sitting there going, no wonder they say jealous at the end, this for the parents and jealousy for me. Because that's what you are. Caca. They will show this to you through Disneyland, to a baby. A little Rose, Rosie. I don't like Rosie. Why? Because she's fucking Rosie. She's gonna be Rosie. And there's blues. Okay, that's a bit. Hosha. And that's the old news on the news, then else. Okay? Everyone has their own relics. Especially after smashed in head on the ghost lights. Go talk to the interval. That's the whole podcast. I love you guys. I know I sound like a bitch. I agree. I don't have no pretenses, but I can at least give them the basics. Thanks. So, don't start with me again. You're going to go into Fresno, and you're finishing that shit in Fresno for the banks. Shut the fuck up. Not that I'm going to be sitting there and you're not fucking capable of this shit. I'll fucking break your ass, blah, 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 blah. You do that? Yeah, we'll have more paperwork just for me. Guys. Heine wasn't my guy, but that's not rape or nothing. It's just not a guy for me, okay? No, I don't think he was the abuser, but I think that the groups that they sent, they weren't. The abuse was also in Fresno, but it wasn't so bad because they always got me out of there. They already have cases against the Sacred Woods and everything. Fresno has no chance, even for me, you understand? Because whatever happens, they're going to be held accountable in the US with the coastlines, with the poppy fields, and the extras. In other words, whatever you lost, this is not a question of patriotism, believe me. This is something else altogether. This is how the US lost all that intel, proverbially speaking. And I don't like using the word proverbial. 221. That was the storyline of 221. That's the old news on the news. So if you can't even look at then you are what you are. And so when you have intel that sees that anywhere around the world, and they can make a historical point out of the Chinese and the nationals, and the Italians and the Brits, even my fucking enemies, the Germans, and others, you will see I'm not exactly Chinese, but that's okay. Somebody who did that and then come back and then you hate that shit. A lot of that. That's okay. I'm not saying. But they will show why. Now then, who's paying for all of this? The US government. In other words, you're being a parasite, not my life. You had the intel before you killed it. You're being a parasite on your government. So when they say how to hate and stupid hate, that's what they say. It's not a question of people who have problems, not problems. Every motherfucker on the planet has some kind of problem or type of problem or something like that. We're speaking about the useless extra bits that no, it shows much more than you think. And it's not even the neighborhoods, and I'll explain to you why. I have seen poverty throughout the world, and it hasn't affected me. It's not the poverty or the drugs that makes people bad. It's a person. It's the individual person that's bad or evil inside. It's the nastiness comes from something else. People can have bad characters, have problems. You try to fix them. You try to help them. Some people are more helpable than others. But that has nothing to do with finances. It has all to do with the person. So now we're in a different realm. We're in a realm of personal shit. We're not even in the realm of intel. I may have had white hairs when I was 5 years old, after you smashed the original head on the bus lines. But between 80 countries and 25 states connected those who whites and blue with those guys and others, I'm not that stupid. Because I know what that girl did, and I know who the parents are. So I'm not that stupid. So when you start saying to me that the problem is poverty or drugs, I will turn around and I will tell you to shove it up your you know what. The problem aren't the victims. The problem is something else. And as long as everyone else can see that, I can see that, that's what you get. E basta! Oh. I'm not trying to be rude here. Now you can say that I'm rude, you can say I get offended by what you said, and bitch this and that. That's something else. But that's what we're saying. So when you have corruption that exceeds the level of stupidity, then you add your extras. Ma vattene a fa culo. You just spat on. La Sapienza. Benjamin of Warwick, pink, grey, black, and white. That became multicolor, the academics. You spat on, and that's the old news on the news. You guys are shipped to ya. Then, those guys are plumbers. I did connect the dots who was to bars. What am I going to do about this? No. You insulted Martin Snowden with the sciences. You insulted Warsaw University, the head of sciences, who is the brother of the mother. He's 96. He's also saying this is cheap-ass kangaroos. Mass media with the cancer empty. And biomed, you have to go to Moscow. That's from me. Same with Cairo. The cousin of the father, head of sciences, go to Saudi Arabian mirror. Now, and that's the old news on the news. That's why and then they say, oh, there was a ship to a yacht. Obviously. They say you had an easy life. Darling, you had an easy life. There's no sacrifice by now. You blame them? No. You blame them for the Scotland film? No. Do they hate me? No. No, who hates my ass? Okay. And they made out of a tragedy of that girl, eventually with the Croys and the Croys, a comedy. Because I'm going to start crying like you. I'm going to, I can't, bitch. No, that's you, not me. Fuck you. Mamma mia, much better. Shit. Exactly. That's why they were saying theory, awesomeness, and all that. But now it's negatives. Shiva. You may be highly intelligent, I'm not saying, but not exactly the original. Just altro miracolo. Che cosa? Cosa? Ok, cos'è? 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 Cosa? Vabbè, cosa? Vai. E cos'è eggplant? No, non mi rompe cazzo. For the parents, it's a different dictionary, in my opinion. That's what they keep saying. Your parents are so beautiful. Got their jobs all over Rome, all over London. Oh, they're gone. I don't know what to say anymore. Now, if you get offended by that, ma vaffanculo, figliolo mio. Come on. They keep your PhD up your... Keep your boyfriends and girlfriends up your... And your judgment. Goodbye. Baby out. Hey. No, sorry. That's